Hey, my name is Bill Ferriter, and I'm a solution tree author and expert in instruction, assessment, and collaboration. More importantly, I spent 29 years as a real live, bona fide, full time practicing classroom teacher. I want to give you a tip today about extending learning. My favorite extension strategy is something that I developed with my colleagues called a tiered task card. And in order to really understand what a tiered task card looks like, I want you to go ahead and navigate to the web link that you see linked on your screen right now. So take a second, pause the video, open up that web link, and kind of look at what a tiered task card is structured like. I'll give you a chance to do that right now. Okay, now that you've had a chance to kind of look over a tiered task card, let me explain how they work. So the first thing that I want you to know is that my team makes one tiered task card per unit. And that tiered task card intentionally is connected to the essential standard that we happen to be working on during our unit of study. In a perfect world, I think we'd probably make one tiered task card per essential standard. But you and I both know we don't live in a perfect world. My team just didn't have the time to pull all of that together. So we settled on making one tiered task card per unit. And we would give that tiered task card to our students at the beginning of the unit of study. For us, middle school teachers, that tiered task card was posted inside Google Classroom. And we would ask our students to turn to the tiered task card whenever they were in need of extension. So it was a task that we planned in advance and that we had ready to go. That was a deliberate choice on our part because what we found is that oftentimes we would try to extend by the seat of our pants. We would have nothing prepared for extension, and then when a student was ready to work beyond our grade level essentials, we would be scrambling trying to figure out something to ask that student to do. So we wanted to deliberately plan for extension in advance, and then we posted the doc that you're looking at in Google Classroom to have it ready to go whenever a student needed extension. Now, let me show you the parts of the tiered task card. The first part that I want you to notice is at the top of the document, you'll notice that we've listed the essential standards for this particular unit of study for our students. That's just good teaching, right? When students are aware of the outcome that you're trying to reach, they're more likely to be able to help you hit that target. Let's not hide what our essential outcomes are to our students. Then I want you to notice that we've included a link to an external source of content, in this case, a current event that's connected to our unit of study. And we happen to be studying fossils at this particular time. There was a great fossil discovery in northern Canada. We found a current event about it and linked to that current event. That's a common feature of all of our tiered task cards. We are always pointing our extension students to other sources of information that they can explore to learn about our essential outcomes. We like that because it's something students can do independently. They can go and explore that external content on their own without needing direct instruction from us as teachers. We also like that because kids are oftentimes motivated to see examples of their essential outcome in the real world around them. Now, what other things did we link to besides current event articles? We linked to videos. Sometimes we would link to web quests. Sometimes we would link to speeches that were being made by political leaders on our topic of study. It doesn't matter what the content is that you ask students to explore, as long as that content is connected in some way to your essential standards. Does that make sense to you? Now, I want you to know that my team decided to use current events a lot. Why? Well, we were 8th grade science teachers, and our content oftentimes could be found in the real world. So there were lots of examples of current events that were connected to our science content. If you can do the same, if you can find examples of your content in the real world, you should use that as an extension task. Why? Because they're hooks for students. Kids are always more motivated when they realize that the content that you're teaching is actually something that plays out in the real world too. Now, the powerful part of the tiered task card is actually at the bottom of the document. What you see are a series of 4 leveled tasks. Those tasks increase in cognitive complexity from the left to the right. We used Webb's depth of knowledge to increase the cognitive complexity of tasks. If you don't know much about Webb's depth of knowledge, feel free to Google it. You'll find all the information you could ever want to know. But what I want you to know is the tasks from left to right increase in cognitive complexity. Now, when our students were in need of extension, we would say, we want you to turn to your tiered task card, and we want you to begin working on the task on the far left and then continue through to the task on the far right. Now, I have to tell you, that's not philosophically perfect. In a philosophically perfect world, what we would do is think about the level of cognitive complexity that each individual student was ready for, and then we would assign that individual task to students one at a time. So if I knew that you were ready for some strategic thinking, I would say, why don't you work on the third task on the tiered task card? However, we don't live in a philosophically perfect world, do we? And we knew that in the moment when a student is ready for a turn to task on the tiered task card, we're quite likely still going to be working with other students in the class who haven't mastered our essential yet. And we didn't want to stop in the moment, think about the individual student, decide what level of cognitive complexity they were ready for, and then assign that task to them, because it would interrupt the flow of what we were doing in class. So we settled for a compromise. We asked all of our students to start from the left and work to the right, whether they were ready for higher levels of cognitive complexity at that particular moment or not. See how that's a compromise to make the practice more doable? And it was a compromise we were willing to make because we liked the idea of a tiered task card. Now, there's something I want you to notice specifically about the tasks. Notice that nowhere does it give the students a product to create in order to demonstrate mastery of the task. For example, it says, can you summarize the fossil discoveries made in northern Canada underneath the first task, but it doesn't tell students how they have to summarize. What we would do is we would say to our students, so here's a question we want you to think about, and you choose the best way to demonstrate mastery to us. And at the very bottom of the document, you can see that we've given them a series of products that they might create in order to show us mastery. You want to create a comic strip to demonstrate mastery? We're in. You want to make a graphic organizer? Go for it. You want to create a podcast or have a debate with a friend? Go for it. What we like to think about there is that's a little bit of what we called structured voice and choice. We wanted to give the kids some opportunity to make choices about their instruction, but at the same time, we didn't want to give them an unlimited number of choices. So we created the task for students and allowed them to choose the product that they would create as a demonstration of mastery. By the way, even that small amount of choice has a huge impact on student motivation and engagement. If you're interested in learning more about the role that choice plays in student engagement, look up Jan Dabrowski and Tanji Marshall's research report. It's right there on my screen. Google that, dig into that research report. You'll learn a whole lot about the role of choice in student engagement. But for us, we deliberately built some measure of choice into our tiered task cards on purpose. Here's another example for math. Notice that the top of the document works the same. Here's our essential outcomes, and here's some external content to explore. In this particular case, the external content happens to be a YouTube video from a guy named Slope Dude. This was an 8th grade math teacher teaching his students about slope. He went and found some external content. That external content was a video from a guy named Slope Dude. Student's job? When you're ready, we'd like you to turn to your tiered task card and watch the video from Slope Dude. Bottom of the doc looks the same though, right? 4 leveled tasks that increase in cognitive complexity. No specific product that students have to create. Instead, some measure of voice and choice at the bottom of the doc. right? You show us mastery in the best way that you know how. Are y'all with me? Now, here are some of the most popular questions that I'm asked. First question that I get asked all the time is, isn't this just a choice board? And the answer is no. You know how choice boards work. Students will pick the easiest task first, then the second easiest task second. They will avoid cognitive complexity at all costs if they can. The way that the tiered task card is set up, students can't avoid increased cognitive complexity because the tasks push them to higher levels of cognitive complexity. That's very different from a choice board. Maybe it's a leveled choice board if you really wanted to use the word choice board. Another question that people will oftentimes ask is, how do you get kids to do this stuff? Like, do you grade these assignments? And if you don't grade them, then how in the world do you get kids to actually do them? And I always give people both a philosophical answer to that question and a practical answer. The philosophical answer is that I believe that kids can be motivated by engaging content. I also believe that as a professional, I know what topics engage my students the most. So if I pick the right topics, I find the right sources, I ask kids to wrestle with the right questions, I believe they will be engaged. And more importantly, if my kids are not engaged by a tiered task card, I don't think there's something wrong with the kids. First question I say is maybe there's something wrong with the tasks. Maybe I picked a boring prompt. Maybe my questions weren't provocative enough. So I want you to remember that if your students aren't motivated to do something, it might not be the kids that are the problem. It might be that the task is no good. Does that make sense? Now here's the practical answer to the question. When my students were completing a task on a tiered task card, they could use it in a few ways in my room. First of all, sometimes they completely placed out of something that other students were required to do. So while I was teaching my students grade level mastery and they were demonstrating grade level mastery on a different task, my extension students were working on a tiered task card above grade level mastery. So the task that they created for me, the product that they made, replaced the grade they would have otherwise done if they were doing the regular activity with the rest of us. That was one way I encourage kids to do it. You don't get a choice, guys. This is what you're working on right now during class. Another way that I would use it is this was the only way that students could earn any kind of extra credit or raise any kind of grade in my room. And remember who these students are, right? These are your high flyers. This is your question 4 kids. They're the ones that are always trying to raise a grade, aren't they? The kid with the 96 is more likely to ask to raise their score than the kid with the 69 is in most cases. So what I would say to students is if you want to raise a score, show me that you've done additional learning. And the way you can do that is by using your tiered task card. Show me a product from your tiered task card and I'll consider raising a score because you've shown me additional learning that's tied to our essential standards. The final question that I get is, well, what would this look like in a primary classroom, right? Extension matters to primary learners too, but you certainly wouldn't use a tiered task card covered with words like that. So what could this look like in a primary classroom? Now, here's my answer. I never told you had to use words. So if I were working in a primary classroom, I might record a video of myself introducing the task to students and embed the video in the tiered task card instead of the text describing the task. That would be really good too, because then I could demonstrate how to do things for students. And then what if students could reply with a video? So the response they gave me could be recorded in a thread, like in a tool like Seesaw or Flip. That would be a really neat back and forth conversation with your extension students about a tiered task. Or what if you got a 4-drawer bin and put station work inside of each of the 4 drawers? So the level 1 task could be at the top and the level 4 task could be at the bottom. And you could say to your students, hey, you're ready for extension today. Why don't you go and grab the task that's in the top drawer of our Wonder Bin? See if you can complete it. Primary teachers are really comfortable with station work. And honestly, primary students are more comfortable with station work than secondary students are. So don't think of it as a document you have to create, but instead a series of 4-tiered activities about an essential standard that students know that they can turn to when they're ready for extension. So there you go. That's a tiered task card. It's my favorite extension strategy. My team planned one per unit. We planned it before teaching the unit so that we would have it ready to go whenever a student was in need of extension. Not every student completed every task. It was a task that we had ready for students that were working beyond grade level expectations. Hope that helps.